Without their efforts, it would be very difficult to successfully organize all the events we had throughout this year. I would also like to thank Brother Nabi and Brother Awan for their countless hours of dedicated efforts to bring out the journal for tonight. Brother Nabi and Brother Awan, where are you, Brother Nabi? Thank you, thank you. MashaAllah, please go over the journal. It's a beautiful work they have done, and there are a lot of advertisement in there. And I will request that you patronize those businesses, please. And I would also like to thank the sisters Mubina Malik, Hadia Khan, Humaira Mamour, and Sophia Khan for the many hours they have spent in bringing about tonight's silent auction. Where are my 4 sisters? MashaAllah, they are still working downstairs. Last but not least, I would like to thank our indispensable office staff, Sister Munira, Sister Mecca, Hafiz Ahmad, and Brother Tal, and scores of volunteers who help us day in and day out. May Allah guide us all. Jazakallah and thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. From my perspective, if I could request all of you to pick out one of these books which is on your table. I'll be walking through a few highlights and giving you some pointers as to what exists and where. From my perspective as the chairman of the board, and January 1st was a very good day for me because that's the day Brother Habib Ahmed became the president. So he's got to watch the house, pay the bills, and we can tell him what to do. So from my perspective, the first thing that I would like to share with you is that in the Board of Trustees, we elected a vice chairman, and that's Sister Kausar Zaman. She's here. Could you please stand? Dr. Kausar Zaman, she's the vice chair of the board, so any issue related to the board, if I'm not around, she'll be happy to handle it. Brother Habib mentioned the Holy Land trip. It was really a highlight in February when we went on that journey. And if you flip to page 45 of the book, 45 and 47, you will see some pictures of the folks who participated, a few highlights, and we're delighted that the sponsors of this trip are with us today, Dawn Azrak and Darlene Bunaro. I know they're here. They were busy shopping downstairs. There they are. Thank you, Dawn and Darlene, for making this possible. As you go home, I'd particularly like you to read the comments of Father Williams, Father Eichner, Rabbi Berman, Rabbi Sternstein, and the 5 youngsters who went with us, Asad, Hira, Khatija, Daniel, and Meher. And the description reflects on what they got out of that trip and how this trip cemented the relationship between the Abrahamic faiths on Long Island. The third thing I want to point out is the relief work. Last year, the year before, was very tough. We had disasters after disasters, Katrina, tsunami, earthquake, and the community came through beautifully. And on page 49, if you look through that, you'll see a description of how we are making a difference, both here as well as overseas. Whether it's the tsunami, whether it's the Katrina, whether it's, and if you do nothing else, go to the bottom of page 49 on the right-hand side is a short paragraph which summarizes a response from a village in the remote part of Kashmir, Karna, where those kids, 88 kids and 21 adults, have sent us a note of how our support has made a difference in their lives. And we are here, I don't know if she's here already, but we're delighted that Jean Kelly is going to be with us today. Jean Kelly is the director of Interfaith Nutrition Network, and we are actively working with that group and Long Island Harvest to make a difference right here in Long Island. And perhaps some of you know that 259,000 Long Islanders go to bed hungry. And this is something which we need to address. We'll be doing this in a greater format in the coming year. And we have written a little bit about Katrina, how that came about and what the Muslims did, both here. What is not generally known is that the global Muslim Ummah community contributed over $1 billion to the Katrina relief. Hardly anybody knows this fact because it doesn't make the front of the papers. But that's a fact. And we have, as American Muslims, made our contribution, and so have the Muslims all over. Also in the booklet, you will see on page 15 a very nice note from Dr. Ingrid Matson, the first female vice president of the first female president of the largest Muslim organization of North America, Islamic Society of North America. Ingrid has been here. She was on this podium a few years ago, and we're delighted. She has already made a lot of changes in that organization, and you'll be seeing a lot. And right after that is the note from Salam Mariyati, the executive director of the Muslim Public Affairs Council. The reason I mention this is because unless we are connected with the national organizations, we will not have much of an impact. They need us, we need them. So we as a community are developing those linkages and strengthening them. You heard about the November 14th event. It was a fabulous event when we got honored from the State University of New York, Old Westbury. The foundation gave us an award for our community outreach, and I'm delighted that the member of that board is with us today, Dr. Bhupinder Patel. Bhupi, would you please stand? He joined us this year on the board, and I think they made an excellent choice in selecting ICLI as an awardee. We've had our interfaith iftars, and we set a Guinness World Record this year. We celebrated the holiday of Sukkot in a mosque. I don't think this has ever happened before in the world. And the proof of that you'll see on page 53. You'll see pictures of it. And the two pictures I like to bring your attention to are the one at the bottom, which is Sheikh Ibrahim Najm. You'll be hearing from him later. The picture is fine, but what's behind that is more important. That's the sukkah which we prepared at the Islamic Center to welcome our guests from the Temple Bethel. And also a beautiful picture of Noreen Mamour along with Rabbi Renee Altman understanding the meaning of sukkah, what this is all about. And of course, it was already mentioned, thanks to the volunteers. The volunteers provide time, talent, and treasure. And without that, none of these events would be possible. Nationally, the volunteers provide the equivalent of 9 million full-time employees. Think about that. 9 million full-time employees with an equivalent value of $239 billion. That's the amount of work the volunteers put into community work, into social work, and so on. God bless all of them. On page 33, we have a big thank you for some of the volunteers from ICLI who have really stood out in the effort and commitment they have provided to the center. So in our tradition, we would say, Jazakallah khair, may Allah bless you for your work. In the booklet, you will see a bunch of ads, and they are on the even numbered pages on the left-hand side. So next time you are going to one of those organizations, please mention that you saw it here so that they feel encouraged, We are very thankful for the support they have provided us in making this event possible. I'd like to mention 5 or 6 names. These are individuals who have sponsored a table, which means a number of students and others who would not have been able to join us. They are here because of the generosity of these sponsors. Kushal and Faqih Ahmed, Suraya and Irfan Amin, Ibrahim and Mubina Mamour, Ehshan and Hanifa Wali Khwaja, Farida Chaudhry, Habib and Simi Ahmed, and Arfa Khan. Thank you. And also, we have one sponsor from out of state, from West Virginia, Dr. Afzal Ahmed, who sponsored a table so that the youngsters and those who are not able to afford the steep ticket would be here. What are the objectives tonight? We'd like all of you to go home with a good feeling that you've been to an event where it was a happy event, it was a celebration. We, as Habib has mentioned, in the past, when these events have concluded, people come in, I want to write a check, I want to do this, I want to do that. Well, to facilitate that, we have left the cards there for you. If any of you have a great urge to dispense with some of your money, no one is going to discourage that. This is not a fundraiser, but if any of you have that desire, feel free to use the pens. And you will also be hearing about a new innovative event which we have introduced, which is the IC Pass, which will be a very short presentation. Now in the silent auction, which is being set up right now on the hall, and we'll have about half an hour for you to browse around that, you have calligraphy, you have a classic Buddha poem, you have an introduction, you have an Italian and South Asian dinner delivered to your home, and you can also invite a scholar. So you can feed your body, you can feed your soul. And if you do it through ICLI, you get the benefit of a tax break. Think about it. That's known as using the system and to your advantage. There are even tips about landscaping. I could use that. About